going to try to connect the dots between digital transformation and economic recovery, and why it is important to unlock the full potential of cloud, and what is the role that the government has to play there through a cloud first approach. We can move to the next slide, please. Then I'm going to take 4 facts in consideration. None of these are going to sound new to you, but I want just to go through this. The first fact is we have seen how the pandemic, how COVID has been a driver of a rapid digital transformation. We have seen this from Google Cloud. We have seen how the government agencies, business, basically government institutions has really accelerated this digital transformation. It is, in fact, reasonable to understand or to think that pandemic and post-pandemic recovery will still bring an appetite to move into the cloud. And I can say from here that we are seeing this growing every day. Cloud computing, we are convinced that it's going to be foundational to the region's digital future, and foundational and critical for economic growth. Then if you take all these considerations in mind, or if you take all this as facts, digital transformation and the role of cloud, it is really essential, it is imperative that public policies place a greater emphasis on the use of the cloud to advance public sector benefits. And I don't know if the audience agrees with me or not, but I'm gonna go through why it is important, why the government should really establish a clear framework about cloud, and why this is gonna help to accelerate the digital transformation because of the role that cloud is playing on digital transformation. Then the first thing that I want to say that is not reflected in this slide is that the government is a role model for other business to move into the cloud. If the government moves into the cloud, other business will move into the cloud. And I want to highlight that as something that is critical for this digital transformation. But let me move into some of the benefits. Optimize infrastructure cost, the use of data, right? And how you can really be efficient and effective with the use of all the data that the government has that can be transferred into new business and new services. Security is playing a critical role in cloud, but in general in the digital economy. Then the capacity to host applications in a security way, but also benefit from an industry-leading security technology. You know, more and more we are seeing why cybersecurity is becoming so important, because we are moving all into a digital space, plus security threats are growing dramatically. Then cybersecurity is at the front and center of all the government's agenda right now. And of course, I mean, the capacity to basically use what you need. Then let me introduce, we can move to the next slide, the concept of a cloud-first principle approach. And I have divided this into 4 pillars that governments needs to take in consideration. And maybe we're thinking, okay, there is so many countries already that have a cloud-first principle approach. I would say yes and no. We are seeing a few, but we are seeing that there is a strong need to have a very clear framework, and ideally to see this framework escalating into a level that goes beyond a country, right? I mean, how APAC or ASEAN or other institutions and organizations can really take a cloud-first principle approach. Then 4 pillars, as I said, cloud needs to be trusted. I mean, and this, as I said, cybersecurity at the front and center, needs to be open, needs to be flexible, needs to be efficient, not only because it needs to be green, right? And we are talking a lot about sustainability. It's also because it needs to be efficient in terms of cost, and needs to be smart. And I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into these 4 pillars and talk about principles. If we can move to the next slide. When we talk about a trusted cloud, we are talking about shared responsibility. We are saying that customers and cloud service providers need to share responsibility, from cloud service providers being responsible to protect and maintain the infrastructure and services that provide to the customers, and at the same time, customers need to be responsible for the applications and the content that they built on top of that infrastructure. Just to bring some examples when we talk about shared responsibility. International standards to support privacy and security. This is critical. This is something that so often we see countries developing their own international standards, which is a clear roadblock for the adoption of cloud, is a clear roadblock for an accelerator of a digital transformation and as such, economic recovery. Data classification. I mean, we see government saying public sector data, I need to protect it, all needs to be on premise, can't go to the cloud. Data localization needs to stay in country. But a proper data classification regime will allow the government to manage in a much more efficient way which data can go into the cloud. Top secret, secret, confidential, restricted, and classified data, all these classifications deserve different levels of protection. The fourth one, last but not least, cross-border data flow. I mean, I know that is a topic that we constantly talk about this. It is important. I'm very connected with data classification. Maybe the top secret data needs to stay in country. Maybe the top secret data needs to be stored on premise, but there is other data that it will benefit from cross-border data flow. Then this is what the principles are under trusted cloud. If we can move to the second slide. We have the open cloud. The open cloud, this is again critical. Interoperability, government, business needs to move their data from one cloud to the other with no problem. I mean, systems needs to talk the same language. Multi-cloud, government, business needs to be able to choose whatever is the cloud service provider that they want to use, and to make the most and to choose the best of each cloud service provider. It is critical to avoid vendor lock-in and concentration risk. Then these are principles under an open cloud. If we move to the next slide, we have an efficient cloud in two aspects. Sustainability. I mean, if we are all moving into the cloud, if it's going to be critical for digital transformation and economic recovery, let's ensure that it's sustainable, it's environmental. There is a sustainability from an environmental point of view. And this is key. This is something that the government needs to take in consideration. Cost efficiency from a cost, this is not related with sustainability, it's related with the need to have a cloud that is able to bring cost efficiency. Then the next one, very quickly, because I'm conscious about time, the intelligent cloud. There are two very important topics here. One, the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning through the cloud. Let me bring an example that is we are seeing every day, that is the use, for example, of AI tools for anti-money laundering. This is finance sector, is critical for the finance sector, is critical for the finance regulators. Then it is important to create an environment that promotes AI and machine learning. Last one, upskilling training to support human intelligence. Again, in the agenda of all the governments, but this is again critical. And the last one, that is a recap of what I have said. I will start saying, can we move to the next slide, please? Cloud computing services, foundational for the region, digital future, and for the economic recovery growth. Imperative to have public policies that really promote the use of cloud. A cloud first principle approach will allow a greater acceleration of cloud adoption. Thank you very much.